Yeah.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen of the JAFFO Army? Please welcome to the show the head coach for Edison High School in Stockton, and he was also the head coach of the Valley squad for the Bay Area Cali Classic. Please welcome to the show, Coach Booker Guyton. What's up, Coach? How you doing?
Hey,
Thank you for your
what's going on? How
time.
you doing?
Not
Doing
bad, not
great.
bad. So, again, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. We've been talking a lot since the Bay Area Cali Classic, um, pretty much on how influential we feel that game is about to be in a lot of young kids' lives. We've gotten a chance to talk to a few of them too.
Right.
But the main question that I really had was in that short span of time, because that was one of the most competitive all-star games I think us here have ever witnessed. Most all-star games at any level, it's kind of, the play calls are a little half-assed and stuff because it's an all-star game. You don't want the kids to get hurt, everything else like that. But this game just had a different competitive feel to it, and it definitely felt like both teams were it almost felt like all of them had been playing with each other the entire time for the entire season. How, in that short span of time of practices, were you able to get those kids to come together as if they've been playing the whole season together?
Well, I know on the Valley side, it's a lot of these kids. They grow up playing AAU. They do the 7-on-7s, so they know a lot of each other. They would see each other, through those various events. So when we selected guys that one we knew of or heard about or read through, week to week, in games. And as we started to formulate the team, where we knew where it was going to be special was when a lot of these guys knew each other. They were like, "Oh, I
Mm,
played with him here, or I wrestled against this cat," or So that's helped us on the familiar side. The other thing too is when when my hat goes off to their coaching staff. This is my second time doing the game. This is Coach Minor's first, but he did something that was unique. He established, I watched on his end, where with Twitter, he communicated with his kids weekly,
mm.
and when he was assigning them, he had a little communication thing going with them on the Twitter, so it caused for them to get cohesive real quick. And I had to step my game up. I know on the Valley side because I was witness to what he was doing.
Uh, so, I mean, as a coach on the sideline for that game, what was the feeling like with the coaches and the players? What was the whole thing? I mean, because that's the first All Star game I've ever seen go to overtime. So
Right. Yeah.
what was it
Well,
like on the sideline for you guys?
Well, on our sideline, it was just very competitive. Our kids wanted to represent the Valley. They wanted to let the Bay know that we could play football in the Valley too. We're not all farm boys and milky cows and that kind of stuff. So the Valley side was even with the coaches. Hey, we need to uphold our record. We're 1-0. We want to remain undefeated, and
Mm-hmm.
we got to step our game up. So they matched us. They came out with the same intensity we had, unlike the first time we were around. And I credit that to their coaching staff. I credit that to the way those coaches got them prepared and ready to play.
Yeah, I was going to say that I do remember. I think the last score was 41-20 something at that point, or after the first game. But then this one, the competitiveness between all of the kids, and then again the Valley. I mean, I don't know exactly how the Valley is overlooked when it comes to evaluating talent or whatever it is that's when it comes to the high school game. So but it does look like it does take on with the Bay versus the Valley. It does take on that sense of, where you're from. Okay, we're us. All the kids from the Bay, they get all these looks, they get all this and that, and then it kind of the Valley kids tend to look at it going, "We're not getting overlooked here. We're going to be the ones to
Well,
actually step up
you
and
got
get
to
it
look at
done."
it too. Most people consider the Valley Sacramento. So
Mm,
Sacramento is the hype. They get all the hype. They get all the love. Even when it comes to media, the Sacramento papers don't write anything about the Valley. They don't write anything about what we do because they feel championships and section champions run through Sacramento.
mm,
So we're second fiddle to them. they were second fiddle to the Bay Area because Bay Area is the high profile schools in the Bay Area. The kids are always being, scholarshiped out and that kind of stuff. And there's no knock to that. It's just we're trying to find our niche. I grew up in the Valley. I played at Edison High School, graduated in '83, and football has not always been the forefront of what people thought about in Stockton or in Manteca or in Tracy, even though we've had very dominant teams. Tracy High School, to me, was the first De La Salle because they had a long winning streak going for a long time with a great coach by the name of Wayne Snyder, who was a legend in Tracy, but he's only known in our area. And that to me is just it's crazy because he's turned out a lot of great players. He's got players that have played in the NFL. He's got players that have coached college. I played for the legendary Coach Washington, who's second in the state of California with the most kids in the NFL. From our high school. So in the NFL, from our high school. So those type of things, go unheard of because again they overlook us and they think Sacramento is the pinnacle. Especially now with the emergence of Folsom and how they've dominated in the last decade, and then you got Grant who dominated the late '80s, early '90s. So it's like, hey, no one else plays football. Then you go back to the '70s where Rancho Cordova dominated. So we never got any of the love.
I mean, Matchsticks, I know, has some history with Edison High School.
Early '90s, and so it's like, hey, no one else plays football. Then you go back to the '70s where Rancho Cordova dominated. So we never got any of the love.
I mean, Matchsticks, I know, has some history with Edison High School, and Matt, what was that story you kept telling about every time you went to go visit Edison?
So I played football back in like '92, '93 for Valley High School.
Okay.
And we would always the first year we ended up playing Edison, and then after the game we ended up beating them 56-0. And I remember them coming trying to fight us on the bus out there. And then after that it got so bad that they would we wouldn't even play them no more. They just took it off the schedule because it was just every year we would just go out there and
Now, who did you play for? Clarence Mahoney, or did you play for Grayville?
I played for it was Hoskins.
Oh, you were at Valley.
Yeah, I was at Valley. Yeah.
Dave Hoskins.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Abe Snowball, I went to school with him.
Oh, okay. So you were on that great Valley team they had. With the big receiver and then Jeremiah Farms and all those guys.
Jeremiah Farms, Ray Caruth. Yeah, we played with him.
Okay. That's typical. That's something that when I got the job, this is actually my third stint at Edison High School, and I was there in 2000 as the head coach. But in '95, I was hired as an assistant coach there, and from '95 on, we got the job. We wanted to change that narrative because, it's a school that's in a bad part of the town. And when I say bad part, because I grew up in that area, it's not bad part as such as, but there's a high crime. There's a lot of killing, there's a lot of stealing going on, and so the school sits right smack dead in the middle of it, and so we get the negative connotation of the South Side, and so they, before I was there was just some coaches there that just didn't really care about the neighborhood, didn't really care about the community. They just showed up and collected a check and went back to their communities. Well, in the process, the school just ran amok. And so, Valley High School would come. I was even a part of the staff when Burbank came down. And the same thing happened when we played Burbank. Blitzker and Brawl, we tried to change that narrative. And when I got the head job in 2000, that was my main mission, was to, hey, no longer we're going to be thought of as a school who's the ghetto school. And you may win the game, but you're going to have the fight at the end of the game. That was their motto before I got there.
Yeah.
You're going to roll us up by 50, but we're going to roll you up in that parking lot,
And they'd be waiting, too.
That was the big thing with us was, our crosstown rival, what really wasn't a crosstown rival. They were in Tracy. We were in Stockton. Tracy, we'd go play Tracy High School, man, and Tracy High School, the little kids be outside throwing rocks at our bus when we leave. So we said, okay, well, we'll wait till they come to Stockton. Yeah, we came to Stockton, brother, and they thought they was in a war zone, because we wouldn't let the bus. We started pushing the bus, had it rocking. The police had to come give them a police escort out of there.
Oh, dang.
So it was, so they just carried on that torch, and that's something that I pat my coaching staff on the back because we changed that narrative and got the school rolling where it's supposed to be going now.
Nice.
Incredible. I mean, that's always good to hear, when you have a school or whatever that just happens to be going through it. And now you guys have a coaching staff and people who actually care about the school, care about the kids, and wanting to change that narrative. That's really big. And I'm sure I don't know the exact number. Maybe you can enlighten me. But how many D1 or how many professionals are we talking about coming out of Edison?
There's up to date. There's 19 that'll come out of Edison High School, and
that are current in the NFL right now.
No, not currently. That played in the NFL. Yeah,
okay.
19. The number one school is not Edison, but Poly. Long Beach Poly has the number one NFL players from their high school to play in the NFL, and then we're second in Northern California.
Okay.
And we're behind Grant, who are the number one school in Northern California.
Wow.
So that has the most kids that played in the NFL from one high school. Yeah, so that was done by Cal High.
The Valley gets slept on. How? I don't. This is unreal to me, Coach. I asked this because I've only been in Sacramento in the Valley for maybe a total of about 4 years now. Most of my life I was in the Bay. Me getting to know more and more about what goes on around here, it just the more I heard about Folsom, the more I've been hearing about Edison, the more I've been hearing about Inderkum High School and all these other places around here, that I'm just kind of like, okay, like how have I not heard of these? And then, with the All-Star game making it a lot easier to be able to see that talent. That's pretty great.
Yeah. And you look at, we have in the Valley, we have Central Catholic, 4-time state champs, that's right here in the Valley. Then you've got Manteca High School, who's won 3 section shot titles in the last 5 years. Oakdale High School, who's perennial been a power in the Valley, but they are slept on when it comes to recruiting. They're slept on when it comes to people knowing who they are and what they're all about in the state of California. You got Escalon High School, who's right here in the Valley. These are the kids we pulled from that we said, hey, these kids play football. And so I could have easily said, I'm going to go after the Lincolns, the St. Mary's, and the local Stockton team and just build my team that way. But I know that these other hidden gems are out there, and, it's just getting their coaches to buy into what we're doing and send their kids and recommend their kids. And I can tell you this, we had a better turnout this year than I had my first year. My first year, it was dominating the Edison football team because nobody wanted to send their kids. Now they see that it's a full-fledged all-star game, that it's legit. The kids who played it and went back telling their high schools it was an awesome experience. So now the coaches are getting involved and they're sending their kids our way. We had Kimball High School, the number 2 rated quarterback in the state of California was on our team, little old Dickey kid, but he threw for a gazillion yards at Kimball. But had he not had that opportunity and that experience of playing that game, you would have never heard of him. You would have never knew about him.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think that the Valley gets, again, like you said, because I was trying to figure that out too with your quarterback going. I was like, if this kid is, their word flowing around, I didn't know 4 or 5 or something, like number 2 in California, number 2 in the nation, something like that.
Yes.
That we were hearing. Like how is this? Like, why do you think that is? Why do you think the Valley gets slept on as much as it does?
Again, it's the media aspect of it. Thank God for Cal High Sports. The Valley would never be heard of if it wasn't for them. But you got these media sources that flock to Sacramento. That is our state capital. That is where all the big high schools are. The 2,000 and 3,000, 4,000 students high schools are there. So it's an easy attraction. I get it. I'm not stupid. I'm not dumb. But the simple fact that you would overlook, our area, and the other thing is too, our area has had a problem with stepping up with football games. So when you're getting dominated in section championship games and you're not winning, that's an easier way to overlook and say, hey, they don't play good football there. And in a sense, we do. So The fact of the matter is, we have, as a Valley, we got to advance farther into these section games. We have to advance farther into these regional games, and then we got to get, our last state champion, our representative from the Valley was St. Mary's High School. That was almost 10, 15 years ago. So those things have to change too. They have to change those narratives for us to start getting the recognition that we need.
So it's just a matter of getting either media coverage, or is it just, how would you?
The media coverage comes when you win. Everybody knows success breeds, coverage. So when you're having success, the media coverage is going to come. And that's what I'm saying. We've got it's like 2 years in a row, we've been in the second round of the playoffs. First year we lost, my first time in the second round was against Folsom. We lost by 3 points. Last year we lost by 6 points to St. Mary's. So we're getting there. We're knocking on the door, and so people are starting to resonate about who Edison High School is. I got a DN that signed with SC this year. Got a linebacker that's going to Sac State. Got 2 linemen. One's going to College of the Redlands, and the other one's going to Whittier College. So, we're getting there. And I tell my coaches all the time, hey, man, we got to continue to roll up our sleeves, man, because Rome wasn't built in a day. It got built, but it wasn't built in a day. And so we're trying to build a Roman Empire. Then we've got to stay the course. We got to stay tenacious with our kids and getting our kids in the weight room and getting them to that recruitable size to where we can get our kids out. And that's why, I take my hat off to them. That's what the trend is changing. We went from getting 1 sign 2 years ago to now we've got 4. And, and that number's going to continue to go up with my younger class. So, we got the guys. And as far as, the Valley is concerned, you got Central Catholic. Everybody's got to see, hey, they represented the state again this year, even though they lost. They were there. So my thing is those teams like that, once we start winning those games, I think the Valley will start getting the recognition that it needs.
So, I mean, obviously winning breeds all of the, the coverage and stuff like that comes out of it. And it is kind of a shame that it does end up that way because, like you said, there are a lot of kids that do end up getting overlooked because of aspects like that. And, again, thank goodness, Leslie and what she's doing out there at Gunner Sports, and when they got this whole Bay Area Cali Classic going, and I'm seeing a lot of these kids, especially on social media and stuff like that, that they're getting more looks, getting more offers. To whereas
that's the unique thing about what Leslie's doing. I say she's a godsend, and the aspect of she's in a male dominated sport, and she's a female who's getting to me. I'm gonna be on point blank. She's getting the job done. She's created an all-star game that has brought access to the colleges. This is something a lot of these all-star games don't do. To be able to live stream the day of the game, these colleges can have access to it, find these hidden gems that they don't normally see on their radar. My hat goes off to her, and it's just like she needs support. She needs financial support. She's doing all this on her own, and it mind boggles me that she's in the Bay Area, and you've got all these businesses and these corporations that don't get behind her and really blow that thing up. That is the jewel that's hidden in the Bay Area with that game. And it shows. I mean, you had some De La Salle kids playing in it. You had some Pittsburgh High School kids playing in it. 2 years ago, there was none of those kids were non-existent. They didn't want any part of that. Now they're playing it. Now they want part of it. So it's growing. And it's like I've told Leslie, you always thought outside the box. This is why you're where you're at. You got to continue to do this. You got to keep it going. And then hopefully it'll venture to where we're playing another state for California versus another state. It can grow that big. The potential is there, but she is, like I said, without her, this would be nothing because she just pushes the envelope more than what a man would do. And that's why it's successful.
I mean, I couldn't have said it any better. And I've told her the same thing. This is a game that's going to be, doing a lot, not just for the kids, but for the communities, all around, because you got all basically the melting pot of the kids from the Valley, the melting pot of the kids of the Bay, and you got all their families and their parents and stuff, and the cheering, rooting the kids on together. It's bringing communities together in a way that
all you had to do was look at the attendance, and that would have told you right there. We were practically full on our side. The Bay was practically full on their side. everyone said, oh, it was because of COVID. It had nothing to do with COVID. It had everything to do with people wanting to come out and see some good football. And I think we gave them their money's worth. And I said, and that's how this All-Star game is going to separate itself from everyone else. I mean, we had a kid from New Jersey playing in the game. How crazy is that? Family moves his junior year, but he's from the Bay. And when Leslie called him, I said, by all means, let him play. This is where his home is. They're moving back. Yeah, let him play. But he played his senior year in Boomtown, New Jersey. So that's how special this game has gotten, where she's gotten contacts from other teams, from other guys in different states that want to link up. So that's why I'm saying, major corporations that are in the Bay need to get behind this, because it can be very, very influential for them down the road. And there's nothing like investing in our kids, man. You can't go wrong with that. That's not a bad investment.
Absolutely. I mean, gosh, again, it's something that we know is going to blow up. We're glad that we were a part of it. We're glad that we've been able to get, to be able to talk to everybody and get their stories and how they've gotten to where they're at. And that's the next thing I wanted to ask you was like, how'd you get to this point? Like, what molded Coach Guyton into what he is right now to where you're at?
Oh boy. Yeah, I've been doing this for 30 years, man. And I haven't always been, it hasn't always been good. It hasn't always been great. And, but it's a narrative that I wouldn't change. I've been around I was blessed to be around a lot of great coaches when I was growing up. And I was influenced by a lot of great coaches. And some I learned from, some I didn't learn from, but the experience of being around them helped mold who I am, and I say that to a lot of people, it's the coaching staff that I've been around. I went to University of Pacific, and on my staff was Ed Donatel, who's coaching in the NFL. Hugh Jackson was my quarterback. My freshman year, my junior year, he was my quarterback. Now he's the head coach of the Raiders, head coach of the Cleveland Browns. This is who I rubbed elbows with, and ran the campus with, those type of guys. And there's been a plethora of coaches. Gruden's come through there. UOP was a breeding horse for college coaches. And I was fortunate enough to be around a lot of great ones and learned a lot of stuff from them. Pete Carroll was at UOP. He was there before I got there, but I remember watching him work as a high school kid when he was offensive coordinator at University of Pacific, when they used to throw the heck out of the football. So Walt Harris, who came and put his stamp on UOP. So it's a lot of good coaches that have had influence on me, and that's the beauty of football and why I love it, because it's not copyrighted. You can steal from everybody, and I did. I've taken a little something from everybody, and I can't be sued for it because it's not copyrighted. So that's the beauty of who I am, and I'm a microcosmic of a lot of coaches, and just try to create my own identity in that realm.
I mean, you've done a hell of a job so far, and especially with the All-Star game and everything. What you did, the kids have had time together and everything else like that, but still, to be able to put a competitive game out there like that in an All-Star game that's going to be blown up. You and the other coaches from the Bay, and then your own coaching staff there in the Valley. You guys are the catalyst, or like the cornerstones of what's going to be happening for this. So you guys should honestly be very proud for what you guys
and we are. And the other thing I've got to say too, and I'm sure Coach Miner can attest to this too, that we're only as good as our staff, man. And if you don't have committed coaches that want to put in the time and the work that you value, it's not going to happen. If they're there for their own recourse and their own desires, it's not going to work. It's going to go haywire. And I've been blessed, and from looking at Coach Miner's coaching staff, he's also been blessed. I've got guys, and the majority of my staff played for me. So the Lavelle Hawkins, who a 7-8 year vet in the NFL, he played for me. Tim Brown, who's a CIF career man, he played CFL. Canadian Football League. He played running back and punt returner there. Won 2 Grey Cups there. So he played for me. Those guys know what I want. They know what I'm trying to instill. Orlando Evans, who quarterback at Maryland, graduated, got his degree from there. So these guys, Abe Snowbar, who me and Abe been coaching for 15 years. You know, I met Abe in Sacramento in a semi-pro league. You know, but Abe played at Sac State. You know, came from Valley. You know, Sacramento homegrown kid, played and coached in the same dynamics of what we're dealing with at Edison. So he's an easy grab for me to bring back. You know, to Edison, Anthony Baker. You know, these guys all understand what I'm looking for and what I want, and they go out on the field and without having to look over their shoulder, I can trust them to do and get everything done. So when you have that kind of coaching staff, it makes these type of games so much easier because they know exactly what we want. We go right to work and we get it done. And I think that's what helped both sides when it got down to prepare for this game. He had his staff that's been with him. And, you know, I was looking at some of this video of his coaching staff, and they're the same type of guys in the same mold.
Mastic, did you have one more thing? Or
what year did you go to UOP?
I was at UOP 86, 87, and 88.
Okay. I had an uncle that graduated from there, but he graduated in 83. So,
Who was that?
His name was Rodney Currington. Yeah, he graduated in 93 or in 83.
83, huh? Okay, I was a senior. I was a senior in high school when he was there, but I know a lot of the guys on that team. Yeah.
Unbelievable. So one thing that at least myself and Mastix and Country Cray, who just unfortunately hasn't been able to be on with us, what we've been seeing in the NFL right now. And before we let you go, I just kind of wanted to get your opinion on this because this is something that I want to further understand myself. Everything that's going on with Coach Brian Flores in the NFL right now, with the lawsuit, with the lack of diversity in the head coaching realm in the NFL. When I look at high school and college, obviously because of the sheer number of colleges and high schools there are, you have a good amount of black head coaches, yourself being included. But in your opinion, when it comes to the NFL level, is there anything that you think they should probably start implementing? What do you think about the Rooney Rule? Like, is there something that could be changed, especially the NFL level?
There's definitely a change that needs to happen. I mean, Ray Charles can see that, and he's blind. There definitely needs to be a change. It's my old adage and I'm not saying just because you're black and the majority of the players are black, there needs to be a black head coach. But come on, man. We've got enough black coaches that are experienced enough and that are capable enough of getting the job done in the National Football League. So the Rooney Rule, I thought it was a great idea when it came out, but it's worthless because none of the teams follow it. They don't follow it. They're gonna hire who they want to hire anyway. So to have a rule and have no recourse for not following the rule, it's a moot point. So yeah, it either needs to be reevaluated or redone. But yeah, the lack of disparity is just it's okay to be an assistant coach in the NFL, but we just don't think you're good enough to run a team, and that is so ludicrous. It's almost like you go back to the days of black quarterbacks. We were never thought of to be an NFL quarterback. Now here the league's being run by them. So I'm hoping with some. I think what Brian Flores, the sad part about Brian Flores is he may not ever get a job coaching in the NFL again because that's how crazy these people act and are for him just saying the truth. It's the honest to God truth. And the thing that bothers me is there's not enough black coaches that are going to stand behind him. It's the same with Kaepernick. When Kaepernick took that knee, look at all these brothers who didn't want to take a knee with him because they want to protect their money. And they don't understand they are the money. Without you, there is no league. So, I mean, it's ridiculous for you to be that cumbersome of money. But it's like in the Bible, the lust and root of all evil is money. And people cherish that, and they cherish that more than their own human values. So, I look at it like this. Until these brothers take a stand and stand together in solidarity, they're going to continue to be treated like that. Now, it's easy for me to say I'm not in the NFL. I don't make that kind of money, and, I'm not a player or a coach. But from the outside looking in, it just seems like, they need to stick together, and they don't. It was proven in the Kaepernick thing, and it's going to be proven in this Brian Flores. How many coaches are going to stand with this brother? And not that he should be the one waving the flag, but he's telling the truth. You're being brought into interviews, and you're not even. Only reason they're bringing you in so they can cover their butt on the Rooney Rule. They've already got their coach hired.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, and somebody like Brian Flores being as good a coach as he was, I didn't see any reason, especially for Miami, to get rid of him. But you look at coaches before, like the Tony Dungys of the world, the Lovie Smiths of the world, just you see all of these coaches, and for that to still be a mindset that there's an inability to be able to lead a team, that doesn't make any sense to me. So it does. I mean, again, myself, I do believe, and we've talked about it, if the players themselves were to just, unless I feel like it's going to be more than just coaching staffs that are going to be able to stand with Brian Flores. I feel the players are going to have to prove something as well.
The only way you're going to crumble an entity is they all got to be a part of it. You can't be one-sided with the situation. But it's like I said, I'm not advocating for that because I don't believe it should get to that, because I think people who are of decent heart, good minds will make change and get stuff changed. But I'm just saying, we have been notorious for not standing up for each other. And that's the part as an African-American that bothers me, that, I may not see in my lifetime. Hey, racism is here. It's going to always be here. As long as there's different people here, there's going to continue to be racism. But we got to learn how to condone it and keep it at its best, at the lowest. And I can't, tell you how an owner's going to feel or how he's going to believe or how he's going to react. But his actions speak louder than words. And if they're refusing to hire an African-American coach based on his color, that's a problem. That's a problem. And that problem needs to be rooted out. It needs to be understood. It needs to be brought to the forefront. Because you got to come up with better than the fact that, it's just like Eric Bieniemy. Here's a gentleman who should have been a coach a long time ago, but he's being rooted to his head coach, saying that, well, it's the head coach who's doing it all. He ain't doing nothing. How stupid is that? So now you come up with excuses why he can't get a job. And this brother is and I'm sure attested, he can tell you. But he's going to protect his money. He ain't going to say anything, and keep his mouth shut. So that's the irony of all of this.
I mean, just words that could not have been said any better. That's just literally what it really comes down to. And I do think it is going to happen at some point. I mean, change is inevitable. It's just a matter of the length of time that happens. So is it going to happen? Yes. Is it frustrating to have to deal with right now? Absolutely, because we're in a state and time right now going like, how are we still this far behind? How are we still this far behind in the thought process of, when it comes down to racism and everything? How are we still in a point where we think one person is better than the other based on the color of their skin? I don't understand it. It just, I mean, again, it is what it is right now, but change is going to happen. We know it's going to happen. And I mean, it's just a matter of when at this point, but it'll be a happy day when it does.
Exactly. Like I said, it's just a bottom line. I've always, it's the way I've looked at it, the way I was raised. If you were racist and I knew you were racist, I respected you more than anything, because at least you're telling me what you feel and how you feel. But you still respected me. I've dealt with coaches who I've coached with and played for who were racist. But I knew they were. I was able to perform and do my thing because they respected my ability to compete. And so I don't have a problem with you being a racist as long as you're not, verbally cussing me out or attacking my family or attacking me personally. I don't have a problem with your views. Those are your views. I have my views. But at the same time, respect my ability to get the job done and respect my ability to be capable to run a program or run a team. That's all I ask. I got to go eat with you, and I got to hang out at your house. I got to do none of that stuff. But respect my ability to do my craft. And so when you get into these rules of discrimination rules and all that kind of stuff, that's what gets watered down in that process, because now you're not being respected for your craft. You're being respected because I have to do this. I have to do this because this is what it's mandating me to do, not because of my ability to get the job done. Problem is, if you don't have the discrimination stuff, we would never get that opportunity, because people will never, especially the ones who believe in what they believe in. So it's a catch sword on both sides, and it's a sad catch side on both sides because in the process, who's losing? You know, the competent coach, the one who can get the job done, never gets that opportunity. So.
Well, I mean, again, Coach, thank you so much for your time and hanging out with us. We got to do this again soon.
Yep. Thank you,
for
guys.
sure. Whether it's during the season or just before the season, whatever it may be. Incredible insight. Appreciate you for being here, and we can't wait to talk to you again soon, Coach. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks a lot. It's mediums like this that help us. So keep it going, guys.
Absolutely appreciate you, Coach. Ladies and gentlemen of the JAFFO Army, please thank Coach Booker Guyton. Have a good one, Coach. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you.